and how much do you want to work at, how many hours would you really want to work a week? Right? And then just do some math.
Yeah.
And so I came up with this number that at the beginning, when I started out, sounded ridiculous to me, which I was like, there's no way I can charge people $150 an hour. And then I was like, oh wait, yeah, I can. If they're going to pay it, sure. So, so I have a bunch now. I have different rates for different clients just because, it's basically at this point, like, how long have I worked with you? Like, people that I got in at the beginning are getting a deal. Mm-hmm. And the people that have signed up a little later. But yeah, and also I've like the projects that I don't really want to do that much, mm-hmm. charge them a bunch of money. Cause I'm like, even though, you know, it's not going to take me that, like, I just don't want to do it. So I'm going to charge you, like, I'm going to quote you something insane. And if you say yes, then I'm like, all right, it's enough money for it to be worth it for me to do this thing I don't really want to do. But yeah, but it's interesting because, so my wife's a doctor, right? And mm-hmm. She couldn't tell you what I do. Like, she has no concept of what. She's like, I don't know, internet. She does the internet. I'm like, yeah, yes, sweetheart. Do the internet. Just like you, what do you put leeches on people? Like, leeches, right? That's all you do.
Exactly.
So we there's, like, back in the day, so we've been together for like 10 years. Mm-hmm. And she used to be like, you do costumes, fix my pants. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, I don't want to fix your pants. Go pay the lady at the tailor shop $12. She's got the machine all set up. She's do it right. Good at that. Like, I'll give you $12 mm-hmm. to go get him in. And she just didn't get it. She was like, why wouldn't you, like, why? It's just like, it's easy for you. Why wouldn't you just do it? And I was like, mm-hmm. cause I don't want to. Cause like, it's like, I don't want to, you know, like, I'm never going to compete with costumes. It was like, I can never compete with China. I'm never going to compete with like Indonesia. Yeah. You know, for prices. So it's got to be about like the quality of the work. What do you want out of this piece? You know, what do you need me to build? And people are like, what do you mean build? And like, you build an outfit, you build a costume. That's what you do. You build it. And they're just kind of like, you mean sewing? I'm like, sure. So, you know, it's been an interesting thing for me more recently to be like, to sort of stand up for myself about it and be, yeah, it does cost this. This is where my time is worth. So like, if you want it, like if you want a quality product, you know, I know, like, one thing I know about myself is that I will go balls to the wall. I will go super hard and work really hard. Mm-hmm. And I'm also, very upfront and honest about things. And so I have a little timer. Like, I never charge anyone for time that I don't do. You know, I'm like down to like the minute, you know, I'm like, here's your, you know, this is literally, I could track back exactly what I was doing if you want to know. Like, if you get weirded out about it, it'd be like, here's what I, and
is there an online program you use for that, or is it just like a system you have?
I use FreshBooks.
Okay. And that
it has all that? Time tracking, and then I basically have like the project set up, and then I have like, you know, different tasks that I'll put in there, and so it'll be like, you know, I'm doing, randomly, which is actually kind of interesting now that it's coming back around, is I'm working with a couple of different startups now that are doing, and I'm helping build their pitch decks for, like Series A and seed funding and stuff. And, so I'm kind of coming around to what I put out in the universe of like, let me help you vet your idea a little bit. You know? But it's only been finally, it's been like a year. I'm such a spoiled brat. Right. But, yeah, so, but yeah, I'm like, look, I've been doing a lot of like random diagrams lately of how do I take this really complicated cybersecurity protocol and put it on a piece of paper so that when somebody, when you're going into some investor, that they can just look at it and get an idea of what's going on. And they, people don't really seem to understand that kind of stuff takes time. Right. And so I have to tell them up front, I'm like, look, this is probably going to take me a good 10, 12 hours. And they're like, well, I already have this thing. Is it going to really be that? I'm like, yes, it is literally going to be that. Like, first off, I have to understand what you're trying to do. And then I have to translate it into pictures. So, and I don't draw very well. So these things are going to have to all be swirled into a single, pile. But yeah, but it's been great. I've in general so far, under promised and over delivered to everybody. And, I try to, I want to build trust. I'm trying to build trust with all these people, and it's been going pretty well.
Yeah.
I haven't pissed anybody off yet.
That's good so far. We've hit on a couple of different items like this, but I'm curious, when you think back to your theater days, what are some obvious things that you use now, or things that have helped you along the way that you're like, oh yeah, I learned to actually do that when I was working in theater?
Yeah. So one thing that has come up recently when I've been doing these job interviews is one of the things they kept asking me about is like, are you comfortable talking to people like at different levels within the company? Are you okay with bureaucracy? Are you okay with it? And I was like, yeah, I've never been, one thing I learned in theater is how is how to talk to people and how to, the sitting on desks is, if you need something, you go over to the person who has it and you wait till they give it to you. Right. Like that's
right.
Because you need it.
Yeah.
And so there's none of this like, oh, I don't know. What do you think we should do? No, you go and ask them, and then it happens or it doesn't. And people kept asking me like, oh, are you, do you feel like you know how to like talk to executives? And I was like, well, yeah, I'm like, everybody puts their pants on. Everybody, like, I was like, back in my costume days, like, everybody, I've seen so many people naked, you know what I mean? I've seen so many different people, fancy people, very, very, famous rich people. They're naked too, you know what I mean? Like, in the morning, everybody puts their pants on. And it's like, I was telling this story the other day. I watched this episode of Oprah a million years ago, and it was back before she had turned Dr. Oz before he became like a vitamin salesman or whatever he is now.
Oh, right.
And he was on her show, and they were talking about, something, and he said, he says everybody, he's like, the normal average human being like farts like 10, 12 times a day. And he was like, everyone farts. And Oprah goes, I don't fart. And he goes, you fart, Oprah. Everybody farts. Even Oprah farts. And that stuck in my head forever. I'm like, even Oprah farts. So like,
even Oprah farts.
So like, there's no, like, nobody's that special that you can't have a conversation with them generally. So that I feel like has been the biggest thing I've taken from theater is like, just this sort of, feeling of, urgency, the sense of urgency around work and having people, not just that I have a sense of urgency, but people can see that I'm taking them seriously and that I value their needs as urgent. And whether or not I really do is a, totally different matter, but like people get the feeling that I understand that what they are talking about is urgent
and important.
Yes. And that ultimately, like, they don't scare me. Also, my dad's a psychiatrist, so I've talked to a lot of people in my life. So like, you know what I mean? I know how to deal with a lot of just things by osmosis.
Sure. So in everything that you've done so far, what would you say has been the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I ever got was from my dad, actually, and he always says, don't ever not go just because you don't have a ticket. If you want to do something, like, you can do it. You can always find a way in. Like, you can always figure it out. You may not have a ticket, but, like, what's the worst case scenario? You go over there and somebody's going to sell you a ticket on the side of the road, right? Like, if you want to do something, do it. And don't blame the lack of ticket for the lack of doing it.
Yeah. That's great. I like that. Yeah. Cause don't let anything stop you. I get that one. So,
and we used to go to things that we used to talk our way into stuff all the time. Dad and I. Anyway.
That's good. Yeah. So, again, thank you so much for chatting with me right now. This has been fun. Yeah. So if the listeners would like to get a hold of you, see your work, like see what you're up to these days, where's the best place online they can do that?
Yeah. Well, there's my LinkedIn, which I'm Sarah Jennings, on LinkedIn. And then, I'm working on my website still. It's funny. It's like with the costumes. It's like costume designers are dressed the worst, you know,
right.
They like can't figure out how to dress themselves. So my personal website is a giant mess right now, but I do have one. It's called sarahjenningsdesigns.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I will put links in the show notes so people can click right through and get a hold of you that way.
And you should look up Tom Chi rabbit prototyping. Because that's like an hour that you will always appreciate. An hour of time.
How do you spell Tom, his last name? Is it Thom? Is he a Thom or is he a Tom?
He's a regular old Tom.
Okay.
Tom, Chi.
Chi. Okay.
And there's a speech he gives on this thing called Mind the Product. There's an event called Mind the Product that he speaks at, and it's totally awesome. I'll send you the link and you can pop it in there too.
Yes, please do. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. This has been fantastic.
Yay! It's really good to talk.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Advance Your Art podcast. If you like this episode, please go into iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button so that every single time I release a new episode, it will go directly to you without even thinking about it. If you're interested in hearing older episodes, please go to advanceyourart.com where you can find the catalog of everything I've done so far, as well as contact information and projects I'm working on. Thank you again, and have a great day.